Hi, everyone. Welcome to Intro to Citation Managers. I'm the Dozier. I'm the education librarian here at the University of San Diego. For today's workshop, we are going to be introducing citation managers, also known as reference managers. And this is not really a troubleshooting workshop. This is an introduction for beginner users who have not used citation managers before or would like to try another one. Maybe they had some difficulties with others. So that's what this is for. All right. So if you've met me before, or you've been in one of my workshops, or you've been in one of my guest lectures in one of the SOLS classes before, I've talked quite a bit about the importance of using a reference or a citation manager. I'm going to use those terms interchangeably. So when I say citation manager, I also mean reference manager. I will also talk about three different products of citation managers, one being Zotero, one being Mendeley, and the other being Endnote. Those are the three citation managers that are supported at USD at this time. However, there are many other products out there on the market, one being RefWorks, which I used to use at a different institution. And so really, finding a citation manager is not about using a specific product, because they're all kind of built on the same premise. They're built to organize your resources, and they're built to help you create your bibliographies and to cite in text, okay? Which in APA, we also call narrative or parenthetical citations. This citation management tool chart is available on all of the LibGuides that I create, well, almost all of them. If it's created for a department or a program, you will have a link that says citation help on your LibGuide. This one, we're in the social justice ed LibGuide here. And when you click on citation help, you're going to see information about the APA manuals and tutorials here. There's an academic phrase bank here, some writing assistance, including the wonderful SOLS Graduate Writing Center. And then when you scroll down, you'll see the citation management chart. The important thing about this chart is that I tried to give you a quick snapshot so you can make a decision about which citation manager would be your primary. My background is in secondary education, so I've been taught to have a backup to the backup to the backup. That means that I have a primary citation manager that I use, and then I also have a backup citation manager that I use. My primary citation manager is Zotero. And as I have indicated on the chart here, it's my personal favorite because of its ease of use, its ability to capture PDFs and pull them into the Zotero system, the Cite as you write tool that works with both Google Docs and Microsoft Word, and it's an open source product, meaning that it is free for you to use. Now you can buy additional storage on Zotero from the Zotero.org company, but the product itself is open source, and as far as I know, is always meant to be free. Now Zotero was also built as an easier version with very similar capabilities as Endnote. Endnote is probably the longest known citation manager. It is probably the most robust. It comes from, it's owned now by Clarivate Analytics. And, over the years, that company has changed names. And just like other citation managers, it can incorporate very well with qualitative data analysis software like in Vivo. So Zotero can do it as well. My second favorite would be Endnote, and that's primarily because of its unlimited storage capacity and its in vivo integration. I use in vivo quite a bit, so it makes it much easier for me to transfer things from in vivo, or actually from Endnote to in vivo, and work with, you know, any of my resources. So this video is a good snapshot of like the 3 citation managers and compares it within about 20 minutes or so. I found that their tutorial was quite comprehensive and kind of gives you a good rundown of the chart here. And again, this chart has cost, format, does it support the major citation styles? Yes, APA. All my APA folks, I would not recommend anything that could not handle APA. And APA 7 is a lot better this year in how the citation managers are handling it than it was last year when APA 7 was much newer to everyone. And so there are many things, but I tried to list elements that were essential to many graduate and faculty members on campus, including, can you import citation info from websites? We cite a lot of e-resources here, including websites. And so it's important that the citation manager be able to handle that type of data pool. Can you retrieve citation infos from PDFs? Now, the reason this is important is because some of us have PDFs in folders on our computers or on, you know, a USB or whatever, and we don't want to go back and have to manually input all of that citation information. So if you are connected to the internet and you drag and drop a PDF into the citation manager, it's going to try and retrieve that metadata, that citation info for you so that you don't have to manually input it. But I must say, because people ask me this over and over again, it's not 100% accurate. Well, none of them are. And I'm putting that up front. I'm being very transparent that it doesn't always pull all the accurate information. Sometimes it pulls no information, but having to manually input maybe one PDF reference information versus the other 9, you know, I'll take those odds. Okay. Can you annotate the PDFs? So can you make notes, you know, in something like Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Reader? Yes, you can annotate and save those in. Storage capacity is important. Zotero has the least amount of free storage capacity, but you know, I've been able to use it for years. And when I start to fill up my my storage quota, I will just shift older projects into Endnote since it has unlimited capacity. So I'm usually working from Zotero and I shift older projects into Endnote. Can you share references with others? This is important for when you are working on collaborative group projects. Yes. For all of them, yes. They will have some type of shared function. I'll show you that as I kind of demo some of the resources. Write as you cite tools available here. Just a reminder, Mendeley and Endnote primarily only work with Microsoft Word. Zotero will work with Microsoft Word and Google Docs. And because we are a Google campus, our email is based in Google. A lot of us use Google Drive. It was important to find a citation manager that could use that write as you cite tool in Google Docs. Creating bibliographies, yes. Can you migrate your references to other citation managers or to other spaces? Yes, you can do that. One of the things I have on this chart that hasn't been asked about a lot, because we tend to work on our computers more often than not when we're doing this type of research or writing, if there are mobile apps available. And yes, for all of the parties, primarily if you have an Apple product, there will be an app for you. Zotero has an iOS app in beta. So they're looking to build theirs. And Mendeley and Endnote do have. And then support, I have some highlights here, and then I note some weaknesses. Primarily with Endnote, Endnote has the largest learning curve I've found. Some people have struggled because there are so many features in Endnote that it can be a little difficult to try and navigate for, especially for a beginner who is new to the research process or new to the citation management process. It can be a little overwhelming. And it is also the most expensive option if you were not affiliated with an institution who provides it for you like USD does. And of course, on the chart, I provide like links to where you can get all of these products and how you can access them. And for Endnote, if you want to download that, you need to go to IT's available software page, and you will see the option to download Endnote. And it should be free for you. Also on this chart here, if you click on the various tabs, you will see the links to get started, to access the various downloads and the things that you need to do. And these are tutorials that I have used in order to get more familiar or help people get more familiar with the resources. Again, I'm not going to recommend anything to you that I would not use myself. Okay. So there's Zotero. There's a quick start guide. There's Mendeley. I added new content to Mendeley earlier today, or to the Mendeley tab earlier today. I must say Mendeley is not my favorite currently. Mendeley used to be an independent product, and then it was purchased by a larger company that made some improvements for a while. But I have not had the best experience with the latest versions of Mendeley. They don't capture PDFs as well for me outside of its parent company, Elsevier, which makes it a little difficult to use like comprehensively for research for me. And it's been a little wonky to like sync between the online library and the desktop version that I have. So Mendeley hasn't been on my great list for a while, but it is something that we provide for free through USD. And, it has pretty good amount of storage. So use it as a backup if you don't like it as your primary. And then Endnote, I added a link to some YouTube training tutorials from the Endnote training staff. So those are linked here. And in addition to the ones that I've linked on the resource guide, they have many other videos that will help you get used to using Endnote, like ways to import data from PubMed, direct export from Google Scholar to Endnote. So these are the types of things that you would do in your normal research process that you may want to get some additional tutorial training for. The videos are usually between like 2 and 30 minutes, depending on what they were talking about that day. Another good option for you to look at is the Write as You Cite tool. So that's CWYW, particularly if you are a Macintosh user. because my products are PC. So I don't use an Apple computer very often. So if you have questions about, Endnote for Macintosh, then I'm gonna go here first and then and get and get refreshed on what happens with this. And then I'm like, okay, now here's how we do this. Okay. So the tutorial videos are out here available for you to use. Now, let's open. I have Zotero, Endnote, and Mendeley open here. I'm going to show you Zotero first. This is the Zotero website where you would download Zotero. And when you click this button, depending on what your device is, it's going to show you which options are available for you. And you also need to create your account. Okay, so when I already have an account, but if you were to register for a free one, then you would just go to register, fill out your information here, and sign in. When you sign into the Zotero account, it gives you access to your online Zotero library. I'm going to log into Zotero here. Okay. And the online library looks a lot like the desktop here, the desktop version. Yes, it is possible to download and install Zotero without registering. However, you will not be able to sync the online library, nor will you be able to use the Write as you cite tools with Google Docs or Microsoft Office without registering for an account. That's how all of the systems talk to each other. But you can download and install the desktop version without registering. So your folders are going to be the same. All of this syncs over. You will have your web library. If you have any collaborative groups, you can see those here. There's also Zotero documentation for troubleshooting, or you can post a question to the forum and receive an answer from like the Zotero actual software builders. So you could actually pull in resources using Zotero Web, I'm going to call it for short. And you can create folders in here. You could work on documents in here. You can, as you see, I have different PDFs and whatnot. So you could operate and use this function. Let's say you're away from your primary computer, but you're doing research. You can log into Zotero and go to town with it. The same thing for Endnote and Mendeley. All three have web versions that you can use. One of the things that is a weakness, at least for me in my experience with Endnote, is that every time I want to sign in to Endnote online, I have to change my password because it never registers my password. So it makes it difficult for me to want to use the product when I'm always having to have the same issue. Okay. Other people who have used Endnote have not had that issue. Maybe I'm just special, but so I tend to use Endnote desktop primarily and not Endnote online. Again, you can create folders if you want. And they will sync with Zotero desktop. This is right here are what are called tags. And the tags can either be author supplied keywords or, so, if you're reading, let's say a journal article and you see a list of author supplied keywords, then those keywords can be pulled into Zotero to help you categorize some of these resources. And for example, if I click on academic accommodations, it's going to show me the resources that I have tagged with academic accommodations. And in order to see the tags, you have the citation here. You have an area where you can add notes here. The tags are here. So these are author supplied. You can add tags if you like, just by clicking add tag and then typing in what you like. I'm gonna add test here. And so now you see that all of the associated tags with this resource are going to appear here. If you want to remove a tag, just click this minus. And primarily, I've seen people use the tagging system to help organize their resources for, say, a course. Maybe a particular resource has been one of your course readings, but you're also using it for some type of research project. Well, instead of creating a course folder like EDUC 500, you could tag the resources by the course. And so when you click on EDUC 500, you see all of the resources that were tagged for that course. That's one way I've seen people do it. I've also seen people add tags as kind of annotations to help them group different resources that they want to use. So there are many ways that you can organize this, but folders and the tag system are, make as you will. Okay. Any attachments that are on a particular resource, like this one, you would see here. You can also add more attachments if you like, or a linked URL. You can also see potential related resources. It'll look in your Zotero folder to see if there are any related resources. You can also change the item type. Now, previously, sometimes Google Scholar would pull in dissertations and label them as books. That was a frequent issue a couple of years ago with Google Scholar. And so people would, pull in a dissertation reference and it would say item type book, but then they could go back and they could change to whichever item type they needed. And speaking of item types, in Zotero, we have multiple item types. So, you can kind of run the gamut on resources that you're pulling for these different things. Some key things to note is that instead of book chapter, it's going to say book section. And instead of dissertation, you would see thesis. Okay. And all of the item types are going to have the various fields that they need in order to create the style that you need. Okay. Speaking of styles, let me go to Zotero Desktop real quick. There are multiple styles for any of the citation managers. And let me go in here. So in the PC version, you would go to Preferences. And there are numerous citation styles available here for you. These are just some of the ones that I've downloaded. You can get additional styles here. So this link opens the Zotero style repository. Mendeley and Endnote have a similar option. And you can search You can use the search box here, or you can scroll down, find the one that you want, click on it. There are thousands of styles in here. We're just looking for psychological association. You have many styles here. And as you see, it keeps popping up with a preview of what that style is going to look like. So with the APA 7 ones, you have many different types, including it can help you format an annotated bibliography, a CV. You have different ones for bringing in a citation with the abstract. So a lot of options available for you. You would just click on the one that you want and then it adds to your system. Okay, so we talked about getting the download, getting the account, the online version, which kind of gives you an introduction to the desktop version as well. Tags, attachments, another tool of Zotero and Endnote as well, and Mendeley are their browser extensions. So these are the tools that allow you to pull in resources into your account or into your citation manager. Instead of downloading the resource and then putting it and importing the file into Zotero or Endnote, yes, you can still do that, but these browser tools make it a one-click, two-click system. So let's say, and I'm gonna go to Google Scholar here just for kicks and giggles, and I'm gonna search for something. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna click on one of Dr. Molina's resources here. I want to open this PDF. Notice that Zotero changes its icon based on what it's reading from the different web page. So if I want to pull this resource into my Zotero, all I have to do is click on the Zotero button. I can choose which folder it wants to save into. I'm going to throw it in my test folder. And then hopefully it's going to find the reference information for it. If it does not immediately do so, you can also go to this retrieve metadata for PDF, which kind of forces the system to do it or to try. And at this point, it says no matching references found, which means that it did not have any metadata that it could pull to create the parent reference. So here's what you would do in that situation. If you want to add the reference information, you would go to create a parent item and then manual entry, or you could enter a DOI number to try and force the system again to look for it online. But I'm going to go to manual entry. And this allows me the option to import the information that I want to bring in. Okay, so I could go through the whole process and grab the title here. As you see, all of these are editable. And I could continue to put in information. As you see, it will change as I put it in. And there's my notes. Okay. Now, if I wanted to open the PDF from here, I could open this document and it opens in my Adobe. And I can then start annotating, start reading, anything that I make a change of. I want to highlight here. And I close this out. Save my changes. When I reopen this document, my changes will be there. This is how you can annotate very easily in Zotero and or any of the citation managers. And when you do this and it creates notes, you can also import those notes and annotations into a product like NVivo if you were to work with your resources there. Okay, so I'm showing you Zotero primarily today, but I want you to know that all of these have very similar process. This one is Mendeley. As you see, I still have a library. I still have folders. I still have groups for my shared documents with others. There's ways that you can import. You can change the resources. There's the sync option. You can change the citation styles, get more styles, all of these things. The final thing I want to show you as your introduction to Citation Managers is probably one of the most important, and that's the Write As You Cite tool. Okay. I'm going to open a Word doc here. Okay. As you see, I have Zotero as my Write As You Cite tool. I have Endnote available in here as well. And this is what Endnote desktop looks like, just so you can see. I have a library, I have folders in my groups, same thing. Okay. Mendeley as a Write As You Cite tool actually exists under references here. And one of the questions that I often get about the Write As You Cite tools and using multiple citation managers is, can you use multiple citation managers in one document? No, you can't. They will not talk to each other and create one bibliography for you. They are separate products. Okay, so you can use one at a time. If I'm writing a paper, I need to insert a in-text citation, parenthetical citation, narrative citation. I'm going to do a parenthetical first. It asks me what citation style I want. I'm going to choose APA 7 here. And then it's going to provide a search box so that I can open said document and add it to my citation. So I'm going to search for, sure I have somebody named Johnson in here. Okay, so there's Johnson. That's parenthetical citation. Let's say I started my sentence by naming my scholar. That would be called a narrative citation, and I need to cite them. So let's say Johnson here, and I want to add a citation. In this case, in order to make this look different, I need to suppress the author. When I do that, this also gives you other options to like add a page number or a paragraph number or whatever. If you were to directly quote something, you need to do that. You can add it here. I'm going to suppress the author here. And when I add the citation, that gives me the narrative citation form with just the year. Okay. If I need to add other authors to list, do that. It's going to put it in alphabetical order for me. This is now changed. I wanted to do and Johnson. I can go through the same process, add the citation. I'm going to suppress the author here, and let's say, you know, I'm directly quoting page 3. Okay. Now, when I'm done and I'm ready to build my bibliography, add it in by clicking Add Bibliography. Note that with APA, bibliography means all the resources that we've collected on a particular topic. Reference list are the things we've cited in our document. So when we click this Add Bibliography here, we're actually adding our reference list. Right? So we see these. You can add your reference list to the document at any time. As you update the paper, you would see the reference list update. Okay. And again, this works across all of the citation managers that I've talked about today. Mendeley and Endnote and Zotero all have these options. I just demoed with Zotero today because it's the easiest and the least wonky.